leading up to it. It is now 59 minutes after the hour on WSAN radio. We have Monday with Martha with us. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah,
Awesome.
I was a little upset with some people last week, but leading up to Mother's Day. I don't talk to my mother. I said, you got to be kidding me. What is wrong with you? But people got their own issues. I just gave them my thought of it because when your mom is not around anymore and hear everybody talking negative about the mom, sort of rubs me the wrong way. And but I was what's the word? I can't think of the word, but I was nice. Put this way, I gave it in the subtle tone. So hopefully they went on and seen that and everything. So how was your Mother's Day?
It was actually great. Spent it with the kids and the grandkids.
You spoiled them
That's
grandkids?
always great.
You spoiled those grandkids?
Oh yes, kissed all over them, spoiled them, played, got wet in the
Mine,
water.
mine want to fight me all the time.
It was great.
They think I'm a punching bag. I said, you gonna get an old school hit that you gonna feel for the rest of your life. You gonna mess with me, little boy. But
But I had a great time.
that's good. That's good. Oh, already you getting shout outs from Joseph Lee and Lakeisha. Saying,
Oh, tell them I said thank you.
oh, you can say we're live. They seeing
Oh
everything.
yeah, that's right. Thank you. I forget we
Yeah.
live.
So, what's on your agenda this morning?
Basically, I guess we could talk about how to recover from breakups. Just a little brief talk about it. A lot of people are like having difficulties with relationships lately.
Yeah, you're right about
And I
that.
think it's a subject that we need to kind of look into.
So, you gonna look at both sides, the men and women's side, or how you gonna do this, or just be equal down the
Just,
middle?
just generalize. We can generalize it.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Because it could be a breakup can be not just it can be a job, leaving a job, breaking off from a job. It can be breaking off from a marriage. It can be breaking off from a friendship. It can be breaking off from different things like that. So if you have any questions or anybody have any in the chat, put it in the chat. We can ask the questions as we go along. I'm sure people are curious about certain things. So
Now, some breakups that people take it to the limit where they're devastated by it and they want that thing called revenge. That sort of hurts when they look at it that way, don't they?
it hurts because you really haven't dissected the issue. So first of all, you have to figure out what happened so you won't be so reactive. What happened in the relationship? What caused the breakup? Was it were you clear in your agreement with that person? That's important. Agreements are important. Um, was it clear cut or was it vague? Or did you like some people are saying they get in a relationship and the person might say, well, I don't want a relationship. Well, what does that really mean? Nobody ever clarify that. But people often will say they would take on their own definition. But when you want to define what that is, because if I hear it correctly, you don't want a relationship. How did you not have a relationship?
Yeah.
If you're gonna, what does that really mean? And some people will go into a relationship with that type of agreement, but they really want a relationship, the other person don't. I don't know what's in it can be a number of things in the background of like maybe I can change that person or maybe that person don't mean what they say. And they go into the relationship with that type of agreement. Right then the relation started off bad.
So it's not really agreement, it's an assumption.
It's an agreement with an assumption.
Okay.
it's a bad agreement. Because anytime you agree, anytime you talk to someone, like, um, believe it or not, like you said, okay, we're gonna be on the show at 10. If I don't get on at 10, I broke the agreement. Sometimes we think agreement has to be in paper, but it really don't.
Oh, now you touching something there. Let's get
Mhm.
into that about being on paper.
Yeah.
When you said that it's got to be on paper. What I'm doing here, I'm messing up over here.
It
But
doesn't have to be on paper. It could be, it's a verbal agreement, but it's on paper. On paper makes it legally validated. But basically in relationships, if we always pull out papers, then that's a problem, right? But we our word is our bond, right? So if I say I'm gonna be on at 10, I should be on at 10. Uh, it would be a terrible, unless I call to renegotiate the agreement by saying, well, can we get on at 10:15? Then that's different, because I value the appointment enough to renegotiate if I had to. But
okay,
to not call at all, I broke the agreement. That's the cold reality.
true. I boy, I told everybody you get right to the punch. You don't hold bars. I was talking about you this morning. I said, "Hey, if you're gonna go see Martha, you better be ready for some real talk." Uh, But getting to the point of agreement, then once you go ahead and tell that person, this is what I really meant, just the complete opposite of it. Um, that's where animosity sets in sometimes, don't it?
It sets in, it depends.
Mhm.
So what do you mean when you say that's what animosity sets in? Like, in what context?
In one context, like, oh wow, I didn't know it was like that. Well, thank you for sharing this with me, and storm off and walk away, and they fuming, and they just think about, oh, I can't wait to see that person again. I'm gonna give them a piece of my mind. They just fueled with anger and bitterness. But it also depends on how long the relationship was. Was it 2 weeks? Was it 2 months? Was it 2 years? Does that have some thought process in that?
It's really the lack of clarity.
Okay.
When you enter a relationship with someone, if you're not clear, something happens. That's why I say you have to assess, what part did I play in this relationship? What part did I play in the destruction of this relationship? Because it's not always one-sided. It's someone may have said what they wanted, someone said that they didn't, or neither one talked about what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get to the point and go, what is this we doing? What is it? What are we doing? Or some people have a whole different agenda and didn't talk to you about it. And now there's problems in the relationship as it goes, because I thought. No one has any clarity
Yeah.
of what the agreement is, instead of talking about it. Even when you go to your job, you get a job, you get an offer letter. It tell you, what are you going to be doing?
Yeah.
If you go to a job and don't get an offer letter, how you going to get paid? You show up, how you going to get paid?
You got to do what's on an offer letter that you agree to do.
Exactly. And how are you going to know when they crossing a boundary if there's no agreement? Without clarity, where you going?
Nowhere.
Nowhere, right? So we have to always gain a sense of clarity. Like, what are your boundaries in a relationship? There are so many things that, and I'm just hitting like surface stuff, because if you want to go deeper, relationships are so complex. It definitely depends on the relationship. So, but a breakup in a relationship, it's always something happened. You always want to know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you think about it, if you can't go into what's happening because you're reactive, and you experiencing a really heavy emotion, yo, one thing I want to talk about when it comes to emotions, you got to pause and you have to say, what am I feeling? Your emotions are there because it needs your undivided attention. Because if you stuff it, and keep stuffing it and keep stuffing, you're gonna drag the claim. You're gonna clog the drain. When you clog the drain, you're gonna need some kind of way to get it out, rot it out. Look with Drano, I'm just using that analogy, but it clogs the continuous clogging of a drain, builds anger, frustration, and you don't know how that's gonna come out.
Yeah. So it's best to talk to somebody to relieve all that, so it don't build up inside you and you go out and do something stupid.
Yeah, because you get on you say, okay, well, a lot of times I know I've done it before where if something happened to me, I'm hurt. Number one, I'm hurt. Or but am I hurt first? I identify it number one as a secondary emotion. So I say I'm angry, but I'm really hurt. But anger is like a protective mode of like trying to mask what I'm feeling sometimes. So instead of saying I'm hurt, instead of saying hurt, I say I'm angry. If I don't identify the symptom right, I'm not gonna get, I'm not gonna be able to resolve the problem. It's like going to the doctor and saying, I have a stomach issue. I'm puking. That happened to me before. I had a stomach issue and I was constantly throwing up. And when I went to the doctor, they was trying to identify what the problem was. But they when they said they gave me morphine, but they sent me home saying it could be an ulcer. So I'm thinking it's an ulcer or something. So I changed things I'm eating. But it comes back again 3 months later, and I'm back again. The reason why they couldn't fix it because they gave me the wrong prognosis. So when I get to the point where they really identify it, where it was a bowel obstruction, now they can go in. Now it's like immediate surgery. That they fix the problem. If I go into my situation with I'm angry when I'm really hurt, my posture gonna be anger, and I'm not gonna resolve it in the right way. What's gonna happen? I'm gonna suppress it because I got to move on. I'm gonna suppress the anger, but I never deal with it. The purpose of me having the emotion, my body is saying, let's deal with this now. So this is where your healing take place. This is what we need to deal with you. We need to deal with you right here, right now. But we like, no, I don't want to deal with you right now. I don't want to feel. Right now, I don't want to feel. So we want to move on because we're scared of many things in feeling. So moving on puts us in a state of pause.
Yeah.
And we don't see the pause. We moving on. It's almost like we suppressing it until later. It comes back up because we never really did. We hurting because something triggered us to come to a point where we like, okay, let's deal with this.
So, with that being said, I'm gonna make 2 points. The first one is you can't carry that baggage into a new relationship without
Oh, no.
without solving that problem. The second thing is you really need to talk to somebody to understand. Actually, you could talk to a friend, you could talk to anybody just to get that weight off. And see, the problem comes up. I'm talking on the man's side, okay? On the man's side, the problem with men is they feel vulnerable if they bring it up to talk to somebody about it because they're afraid they're going to use that against them later on when something comes up. I'm speaking about the men now, so don't get mad at me because you know you like that. They suppress more to me than anybody else. Women will talk it out, but men have that macho attitude, like nobody's gonna understand what I'm talking about. Anybody, nobody been where I've been at. Yes, they have. If you talk about it more men will know about it. So I'm speaking to the men only. You have to get that out your system and don't think everybody's going to treat you like that in the next relationship. Am I in the right direction?
Yes, you are, especially when it comes to taking that situation to another relationship, because this ain't that. It's like the Bible say, why put old new wine in old wineskins? Um, because really, seriously, you're gonna go wherever you go. That's why you need to deal with. That's why you have to figure out is what part did I play in this? Because what if it is a part that I played? I need to be accountable for that. So I won't take it to the next relationship. Because when I take it to the next relationship, I'm repeating
Right.
the cycle of dysfunction.
Mhm.
Do I want to stay there? Choice. Yeah, you can stay there if you want. But how helpful it's going to be if you do.
I would say, man, the number one thing you could say to piss your new relationship off is this: you sound like my old girlfriend. Oh, don't do that. Because I hear that all the time. Don't do that. That means your issues was never resolved with your last girlfriend.
Right? You compare it.
Yeah.
You comparing a whole different person and you can miss out on what you really have in front of you by comparing the old with the new.
Mm-hmm. So you got to deal with the old first before you move to the new.
Yeah, because it really helps. You'd be surprised what you bring into the relationship that you can really actually resolve. You could bring your 10-year-old self into a relationship.
Yeah. So what advice what advice would you give to men and women who had a failed relationship and they think it was them? How can they deal with themselves to make sure they don't go into a new one with that? Should they come and talk to somebody like you, or should they have to seek help somewhere down the line if they feel
I
they're
would say definitely talk to a coach or I mean life coach, talk to a counselor. Because some things you just have to talk it out. A lot of people don't want to go to counselors or life coaches because they feel something is wrong with me or we all are flawed. Let's just get out. I trust me. I can talk about this because I'm the poster child for failed relationships. um, but we all are flawed in some kind of way. I don't have like I'm not the be all know all. Only God knows it all. He's all knowing. I don't have to be all knowing. But when you have something that's going on with you, I advise you talk to somebody, holding it on and think about it. You have a board meeting with yourself where all of the information you're getting is with yourself. You can talk to somebody, pray. I always pray about stuff. If and the Lord put people in your path to help you out sometimes. Sometimes, I mean, the Bible gives you answers, but sometimes you don't, if you don't know how to interpret that, other people will give you answers because God put us out here to help one another. The very thing He created us to do is be in a relationship, is the thing that Satan used to tear apart.
yeah.
And he also used um, was used a lot of times as our background history that causes us to have problems in relationships as well. So we have to get some type of help. People out here are struggling.
Yeah.
They really are because they don't have no one to talk to. That is one of the most complicated things to do is to come into an office with a counselor or a life coach and let it all out. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. I always tell my clients, thank you for sharing. That had to be hard. That's one of the hardest things to do is to be vulnerable. It's very uncomfortable. But in order to grow, we have to deal with some type of, uncomfortable. We have to be uncomfortable in order to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so that's why we need that person to bounce that off of. I say use a professional if you don't have nobody to talk to because you're trying to use a family member that has so many emotions rattling around and they're not trained sometimes to help you. So it's best to go out and get help. If you have someone that's in your life like that, use them.
And like a family member would turn around and use that against you in front of family gathering. I seen that happen.
Right. And you know, because they're not trained to do that.
Right.
And you trying to get someone to solve something that they're not trained to solve.
Think about solving something. I went to my class, one of my class reunions years ago, and these two guys started fighting over this one girl they both liked in high school. I'm not talking about yelling. They were fighting. This woman is married to somebody else. And I sat down when they got finished. I said, y'all finished with all that? I said, you know, she's married to somebody else. She ain't thinking 2 cents about y'all, right? You know that, right? How come you haven't moved on for her? Well, I liked her first. So we're 20 years later and you're bringing some old stuff up. I said, how much sense does that make for y'all in a class reunion to fight over something that you can't get, that somebody else already had? And they didn't know what, they just looked at me like, whatever, man. They just walked away. Now, I want to dig deeper into that, want to know if they were married, because I want to know were they bringing that baggage with them, because they didn't look happy. And be honest with you, I didn't see them there with nobody. So they still fighting that old high. That remind me of Al Bundy.
Unresolved issues.
Yeah, that remind me of Al Bundy. He talking about Polk High School. He scored 5 touchdowns. He 58 years old, still talking about what he did in high school. He hasn't moved on, like these two haven't moved on.
Right. And some people have a hard time moving on because they stuck. The question is, do you want to remain stuck? Because you can, but you're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
But if you want something different, go get the help. I say go get the help. Go get the help. A lot people are struggling. They need someone to talk to.
And once again, that's hard for some people to pour everything out, because I don't know your session, but I'm just assuming that it's almost like being a dentist, trying to pull the information out of them. And I know you don't want to come in hard. All right, tell me everything. I want to know it right now. I know there's a gentle approach to that, to let them feel comfortable to open up to you.
Oh yeah, it's called joining. And like I told you, before I even see anybody, in my time with the Lord in the morning, that's when I pray about my sessions. I pray. I'm degreed up, but that ain't where my help comes from the Lord, because we are so complex. The school taught us a lot, don't get me wrong. We credentialed. But me personally, I don't feel fully adequate to do that on my own. So I have the Holy Spirit inside of me that helps me out. And that right there is the cushion. When they sit on my couch, it ain't just me sitting there, it's the Holy Spirit in me that's guiding me, right? And so, and I like not feeling fully adequate, because that's what the Bible talks about. When you're inadequate, I'm adequate. And I like to lean on the power that I need. That source is so powerful. You can't go wrong, right? And so when I sit with them, I'm the story that they telling me is not what I'm honing in on. I'm honing in on a whole lot of other things with the Holy Spirit guiding me. I'm honing on what's behind that. Why did they say that? Why did they mention this? Because the story is never always put together in a chronological order, so to speak. Sometimes you have to really listen. And then you have to be thinking about and be considerate enough are they ready to go in certain places? So you can either ask out loud or you just wait patiently. But the key is joining. You have to join. And that's important to me, because if you can't trust me, I do you a disservice for you to continue to let you sit in front of me and you have no trust. You're not going to listen to people you don't trust. And so that's important. You have to trust me in order for me to get you to work with you, because I'm walking alongside, supporting you in your journey. You have to do the work. So you have to be willing to make that change. I can't force that. I would never force myself on a person. Matter of fact, the Lord doesn't even force himself on us. He's very gentle. He wants a relationship with you, but he's not going to bombard his way in. And I'm not going to do the same.
So when people come and they open up, I think that's the process of healing when they could actually break down and open up their fears and everything, all the baggage. I hate using that word baggage. That's the only word I come up with. And when they open up their suitcase and they let everything out, that's the first start of healing. All right, I let it all out. Where do I go from here? And that's where you come into play at, right?
Yeah, you facilitate the so they can walk out and feel, what do you call it, empowered more so than anything. You're gonna feel vulnerable, but you want to give them that motivation to feel empowered. Like you have choices. That's the key. You have choices. That's empowering language, right? And you want to make sure that they have that before they leave your office. Normally, they don't let it all out at one time, but you know, but you get it in different ways. The key is to make sure that when they walk out, that they feel safe, they feel like they can talk, they can go into the world, back into the world. And so you got to facilitate the session properly in order to get that to happen.
So I would say the only time they're really vulnerable is when they're opening it up to you because you're the neutral party. You're not going to go back on and say, hey, guess what she said? They got trust you and knowing you're going to do that. So when they walk out your office after being that vulnerable, because people are scared to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
they can actually walk out and hold their heads up knowing that what they say to you is safe and they want to feel safe when they walk out that office. And I can see people walking out after they have a session. They're walking out and saying, wow, I had all that built up inside me. It felt good to talk to somebody or not talk to somebody, have somebody listen to what they have to say. So that should make them feel good. I would say I would feel good walking out like that. Wow, I got it all out. Where do I go from here?
Yeah, I usually give them somewhere to go from there. Maybe maybe a homework assignment or
But you give out
uh,
homework?
yeah. It depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. Yeah, I give out homework or tools to manage whatever they're dealing with. I don't, I want them to have something that they can use, in their life, or they can, my hopes is that what I give you, you can help someone else.
So is there, I know we got people who write books about their stories and everything that they share. Um, and they hoping that reach somebody else who's went through the same thing as they went through. Um, is that good reading when they read somebody else's book and say, I went through that, and then they open up? Is that part of healing too when they hear from somebody
Oh
else
yeah.
the
Oh
same?
yeah. Like in the context of like my sessions, if it's something that's gonna help, I would let them know. I would tell a story about my personal self because it gives the person a sense of like, wow, I'm not alone. Well, you went through this? Yeah. No, but it's relatable and it's you letting them know I was vulnerable at one time. And they can relate because they feel you can explain the pain. You can explain it's almost like you're there with them and you like, yes, it does hurt. Yes. Yeah, you can. You can go there with them because you like right in the trenches.
Yeah, battle buddies.
And
As
so you like, I've been there. And
yeah.
when they read books that where people have been there, oh my God, you'd be surprised how many books out here that I mean, even I've read that's healing because you like, wow, they were like, they felt empowered to tell their story because they healed And
Mhm.
so now they're able to tell a story. It's hard to tell a story when you're not healed.
That's true. Because if they're telling a story, it's anger. I'm just going to put it out there. It's anger when they telling something, they're angry and everything. Because that's a part of communication. You got to
Mhm.
learn how to communicate without attitude. Because whoever you're talking to is shut down right away. Now you just sitting there, something like Charlie Brown teacher, womp 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 womp. They're not paying you no attention whatsoever. So people shut down in different ways. And I know for a fact with me, my dad would tell me something, and as soon as he says one key word, I just sit there like a deer in hell. I'm just looking at him, just look at really. And I'm saying in my head, does he know I'm not paying him no attention? You know, the mind, when you be your
Yeah.
mind be talking, you be say, you know, I'm not paying you no attention, but you scared to say it. You won't say
I like I like to call it the music is on.
it.
The music just came on in my head, so I'm tuning you out. No.
So when you get finished talking, you understand it? Yes, sir. You go ahead and walk away. You knew what he said, but you wasn't ready for it. What brings up this point right here. How many times as being a kid, you're growing up and your parents is telling you things, you hear them, but you wasn't ready for it. I heard my parents tell me everything in the book. I heard them tell me, I wasn't ready to hear it. I wasn't ready to hear it all until I got my first kid and I knew they were coming from then. Because you think being a kid, your parents are the dumbest things out there until you have a family. You find out they're the smartest things out there.
Yeah. Sometimes as an adult, I don't like to hear it. Sometimes I ain't ready to hear stuff as an adult. But it's hard to hear, but you can't help but to appreciate it.
Yeah.
When you young, you like, I ain't you. I know I used to say my parent. I used to say this in my head, not to my parents. You don't say that to your parent. I used to say they just old. They don't know nothing. They big time. Our times ain't like this. You know, I used to say stuff like that
But
because I didn't know nothing.
yeah, but times change, but things are still the same sometimes.
Still, it's the same.
Yeah, it does.
Dispensation changed, but the same situation still, the same context still exists, right? And so it's like they knew exactly what they were talking about. It's just that I wasn't mature enough to gather the information they gave me, and
There,
I couldn't handle it.
there you go. You said the key word, mature enough. That is
I
the
was not.
answer.
I was not mature enough for that. So, but yeah, when it comes to like relationships and breaking off,
Yeah.
you really have to be aware of what's going on with you so you can deal with that and then you can move on. Um, you can't do that if you don't understand what really happened. It's like baking. Just think if you bake the cake and it flopped, how would you know if you don't know what ingredients you put in it? Did I do the recipe right? Did I did I fit this function the way it need to function? In order to make another one right, you have to know what you did wrong. And that's what you want to know in a relationship. What happened? How did this relationship get from here to here? It makes no sense. But what we do, we want to point the finger and blame the person and act like we're the victim.
Mm.
And we want to be in a victim mode. They did this to me. It's because of me. It's because they did this to me. They did this to me. They did this constantly, never thinking about how. Even if something happened where they were wrong, dead in the left. How did it happen and what role did I play in it? If I didn't play a role in it, then I could say, well, you know what? I just picked the person. Now I got to do, well, how did I get connected to this person and didn't see what I needed to see? You have to figure out what happened. So you won't go to the next relationship out of desperation. What we want to do is move. Some people want to move on. Or if I just get another relationship, I'll feel better.
Oh,
Yeah, but you haven't dealt with the pain of the one you just left. So now you're going into a relationship with desperation.
Worst thing to do.
The worst thing to do.
And some people settle too, and that's another worst thing to do.
Just because you in desperation.
Yeah. So I want to get back. You triggered something, a bunch of questions in my head already.
Oh, okay.
And it's not the music playing.
All right, I'm old. Give me one question at a time. No.
I'm just gonna break it down like this. The person in the relationship on their thought process had to learn that from somewhere. And they probably learned how to function in a dysfunctional family. I'm just putting it out there because some are like that and they thinking that's how it is in real life. And when they bring that life experience with them being in a dysfunctional family, well, it could be a functional family too, have to be dysfunctional. It could be the same on how they learned, how they live with each other, how they get along with each other. Mom and dad, siblings, turned around and had that process installed in them. And they think when they get out is right. And they go out and have failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship. So, like you said, somewhere along the line, they got to look back on themselves and their family. Is this how it's supposed to be? So that's just my question is they're coming from a family where they learned all this stuff from and thought this is how they're supposed to do it.
What's your question?
Y'all see the look on Martha's face. She looked at me like,
Look, I'm like, what's the question? I
I
get what
guess
you said, but what's the question? What do you want to know?
the question is, it's their fault. Listen to the family, and they have failed relationship after failed relationship. So I'm looking at they looked at the people they grew up with having the same thing. So how do you fix that cycle?
Oh yeah, you have to find out where they get the information from. What information are they presenting? What is the relationship to them?
Right.
Because they have a definition, but
Mm-hmm.
do they have the truth? So you got to differentiate what is the meaning of their relationship and what are their belief system around it? That plays a role too. Because if you believe a certain thing, are you hope do you want to let go of that? Do you want to let go of that belief? Because that belief can be so strong that it can be wrong as two left shoes. But if that's your belief, how am I going to get you I'm not trying to get you to see it my way. I'm just trying to get where you getting your information from and what are the facts. So now we got to deal with the facts. Facts. Let's separate the facts, and then let's talk about the stories you're telling yourself. Can you show me where we ain't no meeting in the middle? It's a fact, and then there's a story you telling.
Mm-hmm.
So let's separate the two. And that way you got a choice. You want to stick to your story or do you want to stick to the facts?
Yeah.
You got a choice. What happens if you stick to the story versus what happens if you live with the facts? So a lot of family history does play a role in your relationships. They really do. When I was growing up, my father used to say, um, never trust a man, always have a plan B. All of these relationships advice that he gave me, he wanted to protect his daughter from being screwed over, basically. That was the goal.
Yeah.
Was it the right advice? Uh Parts were, parts wasn't. But half truth is still not right.
Yeah.
But I had to learn how to be in a relationship. And my belief is I learned through the Bible. Some people learn differently. And so you have to find out where they getting their information from. It's not my job to change you. It's my job to give you what you need for your journey that works for you. If you ready for the truth, I give it to you. Is it my truth? No. But if you don't believe in the Bible, why am I going to give you that? You're
True.
going to throw it up because it's not for you. But how can I take your belief system and show you how to find truth in it? Is it easy? No. But I can do it. God has trained me to do that in certain instances. But it's really that family dynamics play a family origin, I would say. When I was doing counseling in Chicago, I used to do a lot of the therapy I always did very well in was Bowenian. Bowenian therapy takes you into like a family of origin history because it tells the story of how you function today. And so I used to do a lot of that. And it tells you who you triangulating and all of that in your relationship. So it was a really good. I really did like that. I used to pair it with cognitive therapy and stuff like that. But when you get out here and you really get in the trenches of people's lives, you pull on some of those things. But that family dynamic it plays a huge role because as a child, you're watching your parents and how they relate to each other. That's your learning ground. And whatever that look like, that's what you kind of take into your relationships is the history you learn from your family.
Yeah.
You learn that because my parents divorced. I had some great parents, but they were best friends after the divorce. You really couldn't tell if they were divorced or not, but because they were best friends. Great parents. But as I was growing up, I didn't see relationships work. And so where's the hope at? I
Yeah.
had to learn hope in a different way. And so that's what, you do get that. So you help them in that area because they only see one way. But so you can explore what would you say if this changed? What would your marriage look like if this was to change? That type of thing. So you kind of get into the world differently. It depends on the situation.
Wow. You just came all out being deep right quick, didn't you?
I know.
It's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
It's
with that.
really hard. I mean, relationships are complex.
Yes. Because
We cannot solo it out to be, you cannot generalize all men is this, all women are that. No, you would definitely miss out on a whole lot.
let me ask you one question that men want to know. This is one question that came to me from let me get this straight. I don't want to say his name wrong. This came from William from where's he from? He didn't put down what city or state he's from. Chicken. I just called you Chicken, William. Let us know where you came from. The question was I wrong for saying that?
Yeah, no, that was wrong. No,
I,
he'll
uh,
let you know.
yeah,
No,
he will. He'll come back. He want to know this one question: why do women meet a man and once they together, they want to change him? He can't figure out why you want to change something. They figure they want to change him to the better. The better of what? He's dumbfounded. He had 3 serious relationships and broke them off. He did defy in that and said, everyone I went in, they wanted to change me.
wow,
You want to know why?
that's a deep question. That's a real deep question because it's the reason why that's a good question. Actually, it's a great question. Are you showing are you showing any symptoms of there's flexibility in who you are? Uh, what I mean is like you may indirectly show that. Like, do they really know who you really are? Are they clear on what your demand? Are they clear on what you're looking for? Because if they're not clear, are you showing flexibility in being clear on who you are? Because sometimes you can go in a relationship, let's say codependent, or I want to be whatever you want me to be. What if you are going, what if your approach is looking like that, then people are gonna have, they get, it's a dance. The dance is, oh, I can change him in this way because he's giving me permission, indirectly giving me permission. So it can be, the question is, are you clear on the boundaries in your relationship? Are you clear on who you're looking for? Because people just don't try to do stuff to you. That's not what they're trying to do. If they're looking, are you clear on, are you actually what they're looking for? Because if you're not, are you clear on who you are? So that they can know what you're looking for and know this a boundary you can't cross. So if you got, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you get in a relationship and you got 3 children, but you didn't tell the person you date and you have children until the date, as the date goes along. Now you want to start, well, I got to tell you something. I have 3 children, by the way.
Yeah.
And I really love my children. I be with my children on this day, and then they start laying out these rules. And now the person is confused because, wait a minute, you didn't tell me this. It's not fair for you to dump that on me because you felt like I wasn't privileged to that information in the beginning. So what you're saying is you're not giving me a chance to make a decision for myself. To say, do I even want to go further with this and get to know you? And I'm not even clear on who you are. Now I'm like, wait a minute, you bringing these demands. Now you telling me you got this. Well, here's how I feel about it. You can take that as I'm trying to change you, but you didn't even give me the option. Yeah. So it depends on the situation. It's hard to answer that question clear cut, but I think it's the foundation and the root cause is a communication issue. If somebody's trying to change you, there's a lack of some kind of communication in that foundation that's being laid.
Yeah. Somebody just chimed in and said, how much time do you spend getting to know someone before you enter a relationship is the key. Boundaries, clarity, being true. You must build a house on a true foundation. And
amen.
He told you great response. By the way, he did come back. He did come back saying he's from San Antonio. I'm sorry I called you out.
No, Joseph is right on point because he's a counselor. He knows.
Yeah. All right, I have one right here from Colorado Springs. Woo, Colorado. Is it cold there? This is a young lady. Her name is Vivian. She said she's been in a relationship for a year and a half, and they've been truthful to each other, and she wants to get married, and he just told her that he's not ready to get married. She said he's being upfront and honest with me, but I want to get married and start a family, but he doesn't.
Oh, what was the agreement? And then was the agreement that you guys would date to get, what was the agreement that when you went into the relationship in the beginning?
I hope she's listening right now to respond to this. But
that's a great question though, because it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. I say a year and a half, there's an agreement you walked into the relationship with. Initial agreement. What was that initial agreement? If you don't know it, then it wasn't clear. So now you a year and a half later, not clear on what the relationship is, what it's supposed to look like. Are you dating to marry, or are you just dating to have fun?
Right.
Somebody could have been in agreement with themselves and nobody talking about the elephant in the room.
Whoops,
the elephant in the room is, I want to get married. I don't want to get married. He'd been with her a year and a half. Why not get married? Well, I mean, what's the holdup?
She just responded back. Yeah. I wish she'd get on the phone. She just responded back and said they got into a relationship, and then later on she felt they never mentioned married or anything. It was just a relationship, and she felt that that he would propose to her somewhere down the line. They talked about it. What she said, we talked about it, but he wasn't clear if he wanted to get married or not.
See what I'm saying? No clear
There.
nothing is clear. You walked into the relationship, unfortunately, unclear expectations. I assumed he would. I'm looking at, well, some of the language was assumptions.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that I figured he would, would do it this way, but he just no. You got to be clear in the beginning. Are you looking to get married? It's just asking simple questions that, because you got to remember, when you would step into a relationship, what do you really want?
Yeah.
Do you want to just have a good time, or do you really want to be in a relationship? If you don't want to commit, don't be in a relationship. Don't get into a relationship, because relationships, no matter which kind of relationship you join into, there is a level of commitment. If you can't commit, don't waste people's time.
Mm.
It don't matter what relationship you're in, or come into the relationship with both. Like, we just want to have fun. Both of you guys want to have fun. Be true to that. That's your relationship.
Yeah.
You get to create. You get to have a choice in what type of relationship you want to be in. Me, I want to be in authentic relationships. In order for me to be in that kind of relationship, I have to be authentic. I can't be in an authentic relationship and be fake. It don't work like that.
Yes. Amen to
Because I'm not going to get that.
that. Yes, you're not, because if one's being fake and the other one's not, somebody's going to get hurt.
And it's in friendships, it's in job related. I used to always tell my bosses when I was working, I'm taking a mental health day. Or I'm taking off because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm taking off. I need a break. I want to go hang out with my grandkid. I'm not sugarcoat.
Yeah.
I'll have nothing to hide. Because if I try to cover something up, then I'm diminishing my value.
You know, you said something that got me in trouble years ago in high school when you said not trying to hide. In Chicago, you know the L, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We took the L to Wrigley's Field, and we used to put cups and spell a name on the fence there. And he zeroed in on me, right? Zeroed in on me. And I'm there and I'm supposed to be in high school. Well, guess who saw that picture, that video? I got home. I was school. It was good. No, it wasn't. So here I am thinking that I'm smarter than anybody else and on live TV and see me doing that. Now, that's the part right there that people do things out in the open, think nobody's gonna say anything. Like,
Exactly.
we have Facebook, we have cameras.
Oh, goodness
You got
gracious.
to go to school to become a criminal because everything's out there.
Everything is out there, like, and it's getting more and more, we get more and more exposed.
Yes. So
And
and then this thing right here, as you'll sit here, there's this phone right.
the cell phone, oh
This
God.
track everything.
Locate.
I told my wife the other day, you cannot go out and mess around because this phone would tell every Sunday, Google would tell me every location I visit last week.
I'm
And
telling you, it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to hide. So it's really like, but really think about it. How do you feel when you hiding? When you really think about it? And what are you taking away from yourself by doing it? I definitely want to tell Vivian, don't feel bad about being in people in that type of relationship, but try to establish an agreement going forward to figure out what boundaries that she's gonna go forward in, because she got a choice. You still have a choice in how you want your relationship to go. If you need help, you can definitely reach out. but you do have a choice in how you want your relationship to go. You got a choice in a lot of things. Life is full of choices. God blessed us with free will. He blessed us with choices. And we can exercise those choices in many ways, and we can create our own experiences. There's no need to blame someone else for something that we didn't experience, because we got control over how we can experience whatever we need to experience. So I would definitely say be encouraged, but reach out if you need help in navigating that, because that's important to know and be clear. What type of relationship do I really want?
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true. Like I said, you gotta be clear up front.
you got to be clear up front.
When people first meet and you talk, it seems like you talk for hours because you that chemistry is there. You feel you could talk to that person. That's when some things will come up. They first say, "Hey, are you single?" Yes, I'm single. Yeah, I asked that question. Are you single? Don't be married. That's another subject. Cheaters. That's one that could take months to
Of
discuss.
that.
But when you first meet somebody, you let them know about yourself and you have kids or you don't have kids, or put it out there. If there's a second time talking, you're gonna talk a little bit more, get to know each other. Don't be bamboozled down the line. You got 30 kids out there. I just threw it out as a number just
Yeah, that's just wrong.
yeah. You don't do that because I see some marriages, some people that I know and some I care not to know, turned around and the wife found out he had 3 other kids a long time ago that he never said. Now, is that betrayal or what is it? He should have told her I got other kids.
I think you give people a choice. You really limit my choices if you don't tell me everything,
Right.
because I should have a choice whether I want to proceed with a relationship or not. That's my choice. It don't make you a bad person. It gives me ability to make sound judgment. I can't make it if you don't give me all of, if you don't give me what I need to make it.
Yeah. Because there goes that assumption again.
But I have to ask what
Yeah.
type of relation. If I never dated again, but uh, I told my husband this is it. But I would want to know what type of relationship I personally want.
Yeah.
That's the most important question I can ever ask myself, because it gives me ability to make the right choices and create boundaries.
Yeah. So true. So true. Look at
It
this.
really do.
You see how this time went?
Oh God, it went fast.
This time went, boy, did it go, did it go. But
it, it went.
the subject you tapped on today is dead on. It is dead on. And I hope a lot of people will get something from this conversation right here today
And
because
you had some good questions.
I
You
didn't
and your
really
audience, you and the audience had some good questions.
and I love that they're starting to chime in, and I like that and everything. So, but no, you tell it like it is because I warned everybody this morning. I warned them. I said, Martha, don't play. She would tell you like it is. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, nothing at all. She's gonna tell it like it is because I think we discussed this one time. Most of the time, the truth hurts.
You do.
When you tell the truth and they don't want to hear it, sometimes it's what they need to hear.
And
Because
you know what? I just like to, I'm not a perfect person, don't get me wrong, but I do live my life according to the word of God. And the best way I know how. When I don't, he correct me. Um, I'm not gonna give you something I never done before, because I don't have the recipe for certain things.
yeah,
I don't even certain clients I can't even help because I don't have a recipe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to I don't feel comfortable in that arena. Certain areas I don't feel comfortable
yeah,
because it's not, and I don't have to because they got so many other therapists and coaches out here. That's why I don't compete with with coaches and therapist because I can't take on the world. I don't want to. It's people out here that's just amazing. I even know them personally that are amazing at what they do. And just like I just joined Joseph's team, he got a team of people and he's very particular about who he's putting on. But and and he has a team for a reason because we can't take on the world ourselves. We specialize in different things. We don't complete. I mean, compete. We complete.
Amen.
There's no reason for us to compete with each other because the world is too big.
There's a piece of pie out there for everybody.
Oh, goodness gracious, yes. And we don't have to do that. So,
Yeah.
It's nice to be a part of a team that feels that way. It's nice to be in the business of helping people.
Yeah.
But I have to do work myself. I have a therapist. I go in there and I want her, I want her to help me. So I'm gonna be vulnerable because because she can't put my business on the street.
Yes. Yes.
She got a code to follow. So that's why I trust. If I tell somebody in my family, it's a chance it may get out because they're human. They ain't been trained that way. That's it. We operate in a different context. But when I do go to my therapist, I'm like, okay, let's talk. Let's sit down. I'm laying it out.
Yeah. You know, last question. It may not be the last question, but have you ever found yourself when you turned around and you told somebody you will be there to do something, some particular, you commit to something, and as that day is coming, you started second guessing yourself. Then you try to think out a way on how to get out of it. But then when you finally go, you found out, wow, this wasn't bad at all.
I've done that. Used to do it a lot. I don't do it anymore. I'm real particular about what I commit to more often than not because most of the time, if I'm having like a struggle, it's I did that. I had that happen in communities.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Church, whatever community. And if it's a community, I used to struggle. Yeah, they invite me to come, especially church is big time. I used to like the big. Let me get in a big church. Ain't nobody gonna notice me. I can get in and out. You know, basically because I did not want to connect because it was not based on them. It was fear of getting hurt. So when I used to go into the like somebody would say, "Can you come do this?" It's a couple of things going on though. It can be either I committed to something that's not really me,
Mm-hmm.
or I committed to something that I'm afraid to do. It could be a number of things though. So yeah, I found myself in situations like that. Showed up, and yeah, it did have a good outcome.
Yeah.
Or didn't show up and made up something. I used to do that. I used to do that a long time ago. I used to be like, until my husband told me, man, your word got to be your bond. I used to be flaky as heck before I took care of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But taking care of my mom helped me to see you don't flake on people because people depend on you.
Yeah.
And I used to flake because I would commit to something I really didn't want to do in the first place.
Yeah.
And that was a problem.
I feel you on that because I think a lot of people are in fear of failure if they go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and do something. And I talked to somebody one day, they said they were afraid to go ahead and do that. I said, did they ask you to come speak? I said, yeah. So what you afraid of? They see something in you that they want you to share with people, and you trying to get out of something, that could be your next blessing right there. Look at it that way. Cause I tell you, when I was younger, I tell somebody, yeah, I'll be there. I had people telling me, um, about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, man, we're going to do this, do this, do this. I knew this guy. I talked to him all the time. And I always tell him, come on, come on. And he will always say, I'll be there. Never shows up. So finally I confronted him on. I said, why you don't show up? Man, I'm afraid of things I'm going to say. I said, well, that's the whole idea. I want you to say what you want to say. Well, people
It
may,
is scary. It is
yeah.
scary sometimes.
And he said people may take it the wrong way. I said, that's up to them. But
It is scary to show up sometimes. It's scary sometimes. It's scary to show up in places where you fear failure.
yeah,
But if you don't, you failed. That's the key. If you don't, you actually failed.
I told somebody a while back that every morning when I get up to do this show and everything I have to do in the morning, before I cut on that mic, I'm just, oh man, what did I get myself into? Another morning. Come on, Ron. I talk to myself. I look in the mirror and say, let's have a blessed day, because I'm struggling inside of what I'm going to talk about today, what I'm going to do today. But yet it all just comes out as I go along. But I do this every morning. That's
I'm gonna high five you because I do the same thing when I come into the office. Like, what am I really doing?
yeah,
But that's why I pray. When I pray, it kind of take the
yeah,
stench of the fear out. But I also, struggle even coming on the show
yeah,
this morning. Like, hey, am I doing the right thing? I'm gonna look like an idiot. No, you had these thoughts, right? And then you
right,
gotta say, these are thoughts that come to your mind, right? And you gotta say, wait a
right.
minute, that's my little fake story I'm telling myself. Get away from me. I don't my inner critic. I'm
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
don't need you right now. I know you're there to protect me, but I don't need you. Goodbye.
Yeah, we are our own worst enemy. We are our own
Right.
worst enemy. Like the share everybody with you this morning, I was texting her back and forth, giving her a new link she's going to use and all that stuff. We went back and forth texting. So about a few minutes before 9 o'clock, there's no Martha. And I said,
Yeah, I
I,
scared him.
I text, did you get the link? And all of a sudden she chimed in. I said, ooh, girl, you scared me.
And I said, LOL, because I was cracking up.
Because y'all ought to hear us.
Because I had to I
It's,
had to laugh because I was like, what link you want me? But then when you was clear, but it was just I was getting off a different call and I was like,
yeah, because the last
kind
link,
of switching
yeah,
over.
the last link wouldn't let me edit it to put everything. So now I got it
Oh,
in.
okay.
So that's your link all the time. You can share it to guests you're gonna have on and all that. So I went on that route right there. So we were going back and forth this morning and everything. I say good morning. Some mornings I don't. She tell me, don't worry about
But
it.
I think it's funny that, fear is is as long as it don't stick and cause you to be paralyzed, it's good to have a sense of like that because that keeps I don't know what it do for you. It keeps me humble, leaning on the Lord for help. Because there's times that I feel really good about what I'm doing, but I don't want to ever stop leaning on him
it's
for
times
guidance.
it's times when I get off the show. Sometimes I share it with everybody. I say, "Well, I had a great show today. It felt real good today." And that's a good feeling. I want to bring up Lakeisha. I know we passed our time, but I could do this. I want to bring up Lakeisha. I shared something with her, something that you said. You told me WSN Radio is the voice for the voiceless. And Lakeisha ran with that. Like I never somebody run like a baton handing off. She was going. And she said, Ron, that's a good show. Why don't you do a show for the voiceless and have people call in?
That's a good idea.
See how she ran with that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, why don't just give you a show and you could do it?
And she said, okay.
She didn't back down.
I know she did.
But it was funny because I talked to her. I said, I talked to a friend of yours. She said, who's that? I said, Martha. You know Martha? I said, yeah, I know Martha. Wow, it's a small world. And I said, yeah, it's amazing how friends with somebody else that you know that person, how it intertwines with everybody
Right.
and everything and makes it so good. It's good people.
Yeah, she's good people. Yeah, it's funny because my husband and I met her when when we were looking for a house. We were looking for a house to rent at the time because we were like we were gonna build a house, but it's kind of hard to build when you don't know what you want, right? And so we needed something right away because we were like, we don't want to renew our lease. And so um my husband found a sign and he saw house she had for rent. And we passed, and that's when he said, you got to see this place. I think you're gonna like it. We went by there. She was so like personable
Yeah.
and so like when you in that kind of man, I need to hurry up in this kind of agitated rush. I need to get a place. She was like, you know what? Um, I'm gonna trust God on this, and
Yeah.
and let's just we met at this smoothie spot, some kind of healthy spot, and we put the papers together, and she was like, we're gonna sign a 3-year lease, which was what we wanted
Yeah.
uh, at that time, and she was awesome. She was very uh, when I asked for things, she was responsive
Mm.
and very personable, and she definitely, you could tell, led by the Lord
Yeah.
to do her business. I like dealing with people that love the Lord. When I'm doing business like that, I like doing business like that. So she was one of the people I met when we first came, when we was in San Antonio. Like, we weren't even here. We were here like little less than a year. So it was really comforting to meet someone like that.
Oh, that see, Lakeisha, we're giving your props over here, girl. Joseph, Joseph also chimed in and said, thank you for mentioning him. And he likes what you said that we don't compete, we complete.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's nice. It's gonna be nice working with him. It's gonna be nice. I'm glad to be on his team. I'm glad he invited me in, and this is gonna be nice. I
yeah.
don't know what the Lord got for us in store for us, but I'm looking forward to what he got.
I'm looking forward to because I think I'm going to have your whole team on one day. Get everybody on here one day. Joseph, I know you listen. I'm going to tap his brain and find what day we get
It's
everybody.
Joseph's team.
Joseph, when can we get you all your team on the show at one time? Okay. I'm handing out the olive branch. Come on now.
It's his team.
Your team. All right. So, but anyway, young lady, we passed time and I don't care. Anytime you have a great show going on, we could do this. So I'm not worried about
Well,
it.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Hope that it was helpful to people. That's the goal, is that someone, even if it's just one person, can walk away and say, I was helped. That's more important to me than anything.
Amen to that, Martha. Amen to that. I'll be calling you in a few minutes. I got a question for you off air. So you take care and we'll see
All
you
right.
down the line. Okay?
All righty.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. That was Monday with